Welcome, and thank you for joining me. As you settle into your comfortable position, letting the weight of the day begin to dissolve, prepare to embark on a quiet journey. It is a wonderful thought that as this story begins, you are listening from your own quiet corner of the world. I would love for you to leave a comment telling me where you are listening from and what time it is in your part of the night. And if you enjoy this gentle journey, please consider subscribing so you will be notified when future stories are ready to help you unwind. Our story tonight is a narrative woven together from 100 distinct threads of history, science, and heart, all dedicated to one of our oldest and most beloved companions, the dog. Let the sounds around you fade into a distant murmur. There is nothing to do now but listen, to breathe, and to drift. Our story does not begin in a time of cities or books, but in the deep, quiet past, long before the first human voice ever spoke a name for their faithful four-legged friend. Our story begins in a world unrecognizable to us, a world that existed some 40 million years ago, long before the first glimmer of human consciousness. In the dense, humid forests of the Eocene epoch, a small, unassuming creature scurried through the undergrowth. This animal, known to science as Miacus, was not a dog, not yet, but it carried within its DNA the very blueprint of all future canids. Roughly the size of a weasel, with a long body and a slender tail, Miacus was a carnivore, an agile hunter that likely lived in trees, preying on smaller animals. From this humble, ancient progenitor, a magnificent evolutionary journey began, branching out over millions of years to produce the bears, the raccoons, and, most consequentially for humanity, the wolves from which our faithful companions would eventually emerge. This deep, primordial connection anchors the dog not just to our homes, but to the very fabric of the wild, ancient world. As millennia passed, this lineage of hunters drew closer to the flickering campfires of early humans, beginning a partnership that would reshape both species. Nowhere was this bond more profoundly illustrated than in the sun-scorched civilization of ancient Egypt. The Egyptians, whose society was built along the fertile banks of the Nile, did not merely keep dogs as pets or guards. They saw them as sacred beings, earthly conduits to the divine. The jackal-headed god Anubis, who presided over embalming and the afterlife, was one of their most important deities, and this reverence extended to his living relatives. Dogs were companions in life and guardians in death, often mummified and buried with their owners to accompany them into the next world. The depth of this emotional connection was starkly demonstrated in their mourning rituals. When a cherished family dog passed away, the entire household would enter a period of deep sorrow, a grief they expressed outwardly by shaving their eyebrows, It was a visible, public declaration of loss, a testament to the animal's place as a true member of the family, a practice that highlights an ancient understanding of the profound relationship we share with these creatures. This deep-seated need to care for our Asian companions has persisted through the ages, though our understanding of their needs has evolved dramatically. We now know that some of the very foods we enjoy can be perilous to them. A bowl of grapes or raisins, seemingly harmless fruits, can induce sudden kidney failure. The rich, sweet allure of chocolate, a delight for humans, contains a substance called theobromine, a bitter alkaloid that dogs cannot metabolize effectively, leading to poisoning that can be fatal. Even the core of an apple or a pear, a part we casually discard, holds a hidden danger. The tiny seeds within contain amygdalin, a compound that, when chewed or digested, can release cyanide. While it would take a significant quantity of seeds to cause serious harm. The potential for toxicity underscores the delicate biological differences between our species. This responsibility of care extends to understanding their unique physiology. For instance, on a hot day, as beads of sweat form on our skin, a dog remains dry. This is because their primary cooling mechanism is not through their skin, but through their paws. They perspire mainly through the pads on their feet, leaving damp footprints on a cool floor. This, combined with panting, which allows for evaporative cooling from the tongue and respiratory tract, is how they regulate a body temperature that typically hovers around 38.6 degrees Celsius, or 101.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Their physical prowess is equally distinct. The secret to a dog's incredible speed and agility lies in its unique skeletal structure. Unlike humans, a dog's shoulder blades are not attached to the main skeleton by a collarbone. This floating arrangement, connected only by muscle, gives them a tremendous range of motion and allows their stride to lengthen dramatically when they run, turning them into models of locomotive efficiency. This anatomical feature is a direct inheritance from their predatory ancestors, for whom speed and flexibility meant the difference between a successful hunt and starvation. Our long history together has also woven dogs into the very fabric of our language and culture, sometimes in the most curious of ways. Consider the common idiom for a torrential downpour. It's raining cats and dogs. The phrase conjures a bizarre, almost surreal image, yet its origins are grimly practical, stemming from the urban realities of 17th century England. In cities like London, sanitation was rudimentary at best. Streets were little more than open drains, choked with refuse and filth. Stray animals, including countless cats and dogs, often perished in the alleyways, their bodies left where they lay. When a powerful storm hit, the ensuing floodwaters would sweep through the streets, carrying the bodies of these unfortunate creatures along in the current, creating the macabre illusion that they had fallen from the sky with the rain. This historical snapshot of urban life stands in stark contrast to the role of some dogs during the Middle Ages, where certain breeds were elevated to the status of warriors. Great Danes and Mastiffs, formidable in their size and strength, were not just symbols of power for the nobility, but active participants in warfare. These powerful dogs were outfitted in their own custom-made armor, often constructed from boiled leather or plates of steel, designed to protect them from arrows and sword strikes. Sent into the thick of battle, they were trained to break enemy lines, pull down knights from their horses, and attack with a ferocity that could turn the tide of a skirmish. This martial history is a far cry from the gentle companion resting at our feet today, yet it is a vital part of their story. The physical traits of these breeds, bred for strength and intimidation, bring us to a fascinating aspect of canine biology: the link between a dog's facial structure and its longevity. Breeds with long, elongated muzzles, reminiscent of their wolf ancestors, such as greyhounds or borzoi, tend to have longer lifespans than their flat-faced or brachycephalic counterparts, like pugs and bulldogs. The compressed facial structure of these latter breeds can lead to a host of health problems, particularly respiratory issues, which can ultimately shorten their lives. It is a modern irony that in breeding for specific aesthetic qualities, we have sometimes compromised the very health and longevity we cherish in our companions. Yet, despite these challenges, the potential for a long and healthy canine life is truly remarkable. The ultimate testament to this is the story of Bluey, an Australian cattle dog from Victoria, Australia. Born in 1910, Bluey worked with cattle and sheep for nearly 20 years before retiring. He lived a long and active life, finally being laid to rest in 1939. His age was an incredible 29 years and 5 months, making him the oldest dog ever officially recorded. Bluey's exceptional lifespan, more than double that of the average dog, remains a monument to the resilience and enduring spirit of Canis lupus familiaris. While a long life like Bluey's is a marvel of resilience, the quality of that life is defined by how a dog perceives the world. And to understand that perception is to enter a sensory landscape vastly different from our own. It is a world painted not in vibrant colors, but in an infinite spectrum of scents. A dog's sense of smell is its primary faculty, a tool of such astonishing power that it dwarfs our own feeble abilities. Where we might detect a spoonful of sugar in our coffee, a dog could detect that same spoonful in 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools, a volume of water exceeding 2.5 million liters, or more than 660,000 US gallons. This olfactory acuity is estimated to be at least 1,000 times more sensitive than a human's. And for some breeds, like the bloodhound, that number can soar to be many millions of times greater. This superpower stems from a sophisticated internal architecture. A dog's nose contains up to 300 million olfactory receptors, compared to our mere 6 million. Furthermore, the part of their brain dedicated to analyzing these scents is, proportionally, about 40 times larger than ours. They possess a special organ we lack entirely, the vomeronasal organ, located in the roof of their mouth, which is dedicated to detecting pheromones, the chemical signals that convey a wealth of social information about other animals. For a dog, a simple walk around the block is like reading the morning newspaper, a rich tapestry of stories left by every creature that has passed by. In stark contrast to this universe of scent, a dog's world of taste is far more limited. While the human tongue is covered in approximately 9,000 taste buds, allowing us to discern the subtle complexities of flavor, a dog's tongue has only about 1,700. This means their sense of taste is significantly less refined than ours. Evolutionarily, this makes perfect sense. As scavengers and opportunistic hunters, their ancestors needed to gulp down food quickly without being overly selective. The primary determinant of whether something was good to eat was its smell, not its taste. The scent of meat, of decay, of life, told them everything they needed to know, long before the food ever touched their tongue. This reliance on core senses for communication and survival also extends to their vocalizations. The bark is the quintessential sound we associate with dogs, but one breed stands in quiet defiance of this norm. The Basenji, an ancient breed originating from the dense forests of Central Africa, is known as the barkless dog. It is not mute, rather, due to an unusually shaped larynx, it produces a unique, melodious sound, often described as a yodel or a chortle. This breed, which hunted silently for tribes in the Congo, reminds us of the incredible diversity within the canine family. Every dog, however, regardless of breed, begins its life in the same state of profound vulnerability. When a puppy is born, it enters the world as a helpless being, its experience a void of silence and darkness. They are born completely blind, their eyelids sealed shut. They are deaf, their ear canals closed. And they are toothless, utterly dependent on their mother's milk for sustenance. This altricial state, where the young are undeveloped at birth, requires intensive parental care. For the first 2 weeks of its life, a puppy's world is defined only by touch, warmth, and the scent of its mother and littermates. Slowly, its senses awaken, with the eyes and ears opening to a flood of new information, a gradual dawn of awareness. As these creatures develop, some exhibit traits that are truly extraordinary, adaptations born from the unique demands of their ancestral environment. Consider the Norwegian Lundehund, a small Spitz-type dog from the remote, storm-lashed islands of northern Norway. For centuries, this dog was the primary tool for hunting puffins, which nested in narrow crevices on treacherous seaside cliffs. To navigate this challenging terrain, the Lundehund evolved a set of remarkable physical adaptations. Most notably, it possesses at least 6 fully functional toes on each foot, providing a wider, more secure grip on slippery rocks. Its paws are not just polydactyl. They are uniquely flexible, with an extra joint that allows them to bend and grasp in ways no other dog can. This anatomical marvel is a living testament to the power of selective breeding in a harsh and demanding landscape. While the Lundehund's paws are a unique form of identification, every single dog possesses a feature that is entirely its own, a biological signature as individual as a human fingerprint. This identifier is not on its paws, but at the very tip of its nose. The surface of a dog's nose, with its intricate pattern of ridges and pores, is completely unique to that individual animal. Kennel clubs and registries have, for decades, accepted nose prints as a form of positive identification, a foolproof way to distinguish one dog from another. This concept of canine individuality took on a global and historic significance in the mid-20th century, during the tense political climate of the Cold War. As the Soviet Union and the United States vied for technological and ideological supremacy, the final frontier became the focus of their competition: space. On November 3, 1957, the Soviet Union launched its second satellite, Sputnik 2. Aboard this small, spherical craft was a single passenger destined to make history. Her name was Laika, a small, mixed-breed stray plucked from the streets of Moscow. She was chosen for her calm demeanor and her resilience, qualities honed by a life of hardship. Laika became the first living creature to orbit the Earth, a pioneer sent on a one-way mission to test the viability of spaceflight for humans. Her journey was a triumph of engineering, but a tragedy of ethics. The technology for a safe re-entry did not yet exist, and Laika perished in orbit, a sacrifice that paved the way for human space exploration and forever etched her name in the annals of history. Her story is a poignant reminder of the profound roles, both willing and unwilling, that dogs have played in the grand narrative of human ambition. From the cosmic heights of Earth's orbit, we return to the intricate details of canine anatomy, to a feature that is often overlooked but quietly essential. If you look closely at a dog's eye, you may occasionally catch a glimpse of a whitish-pink membrane sweeping across it from the inner corner. This is the nictitating membrane, or the third eyelid. It acts as an internal windscreen wiper, moving horizontally across the cornea to clear debris, spread tears for lubrication, and provide an extra layer of protection, all without needing to fully close the outer eyelids. It is a feature many other animals, from cats to camels to sharks, possess. a useful piece of evolutionary hardware that humans have lost. Another distinctive and somewhat mysterious physical trait is found in the Chow Chow, an ancient breed from northern China. Puppies of this proud lion-like dog are born with the pink tongues common to all canines. However, as they mature, a dramatic transformation occurs. Their tongues gradually darken, eventually taking on a solid blue-black color, a characteristic they share with only a few other animals, such as the giraffe and the polar bear. The reason for this unique pigmentation remains a mystery, though theories abound, from increased blood circulation to an evolutionary quirk. This trait is a hallmark of the breed, a visual link to its enigmatic past. The journey through canine history ultimately leads us to the deserts of the Middle East, to a breed of breathtaking elegance and antiquity, the Saluki. Considered by many experts to be the oldest domesticated dog breed, the Saluki's lineage can be traced back thousands of years. Their likeness, with their slender bodies, deep chests, and feathered ears, is found in carvings in ancient Egyptian tombs, including some dating to the era of the pharaohs, long before the year 329 BC. They were the royal dogs of Egypt, revered for their incredible speed and stamina, used to hunt gazelles and other swift prey across the vast, arid landscapes. Unlike the war dogs of the Middle Ages, the Saluki was a dog of artistry and grace, a living piece of history whose appearance has remained remarkably unchanged for millennia, a direct, beautiful link to the very dawn of the human-dog partnership. The ancient, enduring bond between humans and dogs, exemplified by breeds like the Saluki, is not merely a product of history or utility. It is a deeply physiological connection, a biological feedback loop that enriches both species. The simple, intuitive act of stroking a dog's fur, of feeling the rhythmic rise and fall of its breath, triggers a powerful chemical reaction in our brains. As our hand moves, our bodies begin to release oxytocin, a hormone intricately linked to social bonding, trust, and affection. It's the same hormone that floods a mother's system when she gazes at her newborn child, cementing the maternal bond. What is truly remarkable is that this is not a one-way street. As the owner pets the dog's brain also releases a surge of oxytocin. This mutual hormonal exchange creates a powerful, positive feedback loop, biochemically reinforcing the feelings of love and attachment between person and pet. This science gives a tangible explanation for the comfort and solace we find in their quiet companionship, a relationship so profound that it has found a home in the highest echelons of human society. In the United States, the White House has been home to a long and distinguished line of canine residents. More than half of all American presidents have shared the executive mansion with a dog, their presence offering a touch of domestic normalcy amidst the immense pressures of the office. From George Washington's hounds to Franklin D. Roosevelt's beloved Scottish Terrier, Fala, who became a national celebrity in his own right. These first dogs have often served as unofficial ambassadors, softening the public image of their powerful owners. The tradition underscores a fundamental truth: that the need for a dog's loyal, non-judgmental companionship is a universal human trait, felt as keenly by a president as by any other citizen. This role of companion and helper has been formalized in many ways, but perhaps none so vital as in the development of guide dogs for the blind. While the concept of animals assisting the visually impaired has existed for centuries, the systematic training of guide dogs began in earnest in Germany in the years following the First World War. The war had left thousands of soldiers blinded, often by poison gas, and they returned home to a world they could no longer see. In response, a German doctor, Gerhard Stalling, opened the world's first guide dog school in 1916. He had been inspired by an observation made while walking with a patient and his own dog. When he was briefly called away, he returned to find the dog had stayed and was clearly looking after the blinded man. The school formalized this innate canine loyalty, training German shepherds to be the eyes of these veterans, helping them navigate a society forever changed by conflict. From this compassionate beginning, the guide dog movement spread across the world, a powerful symbol of the trust and partnership possible between humans and animals. A dog's ability to serve as a guide is predicated on its extraordinary sensory abilities, particularly its hearing. A dog's auditory perception is far superior to our own, not just in its range. They can hear frequencies far higher than the human ear can detect, but in its precision. They can locate the source of a sound with breathtaking speed, pinpointing its origin in as little as 1/600th of a second. This is achieved by using their ears like sophisticated radar dishes. They possess over 18 distinct muscles to control the pinna, or outer ear, allowing them to tilt, rotate, and pivot each ear independently to triangulate the exact location of a noise. This ability, a vital tool for a predator tracking unseen prey, allows a guide dog to perceive the subtle sounds of traffic, the footsteps of a pedestrian, or the quiet whir of an approaching electric vehicle long before its human companion can. This auditory world is part of a sensory tapestry that a dog begins to weave from the moment of its birth. As we learned, a puppy enters the world blind and deaf, but it is not without senses. From its first breath, its world is defined by touch. The warmth of its mother, the soft pressure of its litter mates, the feeling of the teat in its mouth. These are the first and most fundamental sensations it experiences. Touch is the bedrock of its early development, the sense through which it first learns about comfort, security, and its place in the world. It is through touch that the all-important bond with its mother is forged, a connection that will shape its social behavior for the rest of its life. From these individual beginnings, the canine population has expanded to a staggering global scale. It is estimated that there are at least 400 million dogs in the world, a number that is almost certainly a significant underestimate, as it is difficult to account for the vast populations of stray and feral dogs in many parts of the globe. They inhabit every continent, including a small number of working sled dogs in Antarctica, and have adapted to every conceivable human environment, from bustling megacities to the most remote rural villages. This global proliferation is a testament to their incredible adaptability and the universal appeal of their companionship. Within this massive global population, one country stands out as having the largest number of pet dogs: the United States. Americans' love for their canine companions has resulted in a pet dog population that exceeds 70 million. This cultural affinity for dogs is reflected in all aspects of American life, from dog parks and pet-friendly businesses to a multi-billion-dollar pet care industry. This deep integration of dogs into society makes them not just pets, but cherished family members. And within this vast and varied population, one breed has consistently captured the hearts of people not just in America, but across the English-speaking world. For decades, the Labrador Retriever has held the title of the most popular dog breed in the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Their gentle temperament, intelligence, and trainability make them ideal family pets and versatile working dogs, excelling as assistance dogs, search and rescue workers, and detection specialists. Their enduring popularity speaks to a set of qualities that many people see as the ideal canine archetype: loyal, friendly, and endlessly patient. The popularity of specific breeds contributes to a constant cycle of canine reproduction, a cycle that can have overwhelming consequences when left unchecked. The reproductive potential of dogs is astonishing. A single unspayed female dog, her mate, and all their subsequent offspring can, in the space of just 6 years, produce a staggering 67,000 puppies. This exponential growth is a sobering statistic, highlighting the critical importance of spaying and neutering programs in controlling pet overpopulation and reducing the number of animals that end up in shelters. At the opposite end of the population spectrum are the individual record breakers, the dogs that push the boundaries of biological possibility. We met Bluey, the oldest dog, but there are other, smaller marvels. The record for the smallest dog ever documented belongs to a tiny Yorkshire Terrier from Blackburn, England. This diminutive creature, a fully grown adult, stood only 2.5 inches, or about 6.3 centimeters, tall at the shoulder and weighed a mere 4 ounces, or approximately 113 grams. This is lighter than a baseball. Her existence is a striking example of the incredible range of size and morphology present within the single species of Canis lupus familiaris, a diversity shaped by centuries of human intervention through selective breeding. While the Great Dane has given us the tallest individual dogs ever recorded, the title for the tallest breed on average is often bestowed upon the majestic Irish wolfhound. These noble sighthounds, bred in ancient Ireland for hunting wolves and Irish elk, possess a commanding stature and a rugged grace. Their sheer height, a product of centuries of selective breeding for a specific and formidable purpose, represents another pinnacle of canine physical diversity. But remarkable physical traits are not limited to height. An equally striking, if less vertical, record is held by a bloodhound from Illinois named Tigger, who earned his place in the record books for having the longest ears ever measured on a dog. Each of his ears was over 34 centimeters long, or more than 13 inches, a length so profound they would drag on the ground as he walked. These extraordinary appendages were not a mere aesthetic quirk. They are a functional part of the bloodhound's legendary scenting ability. As the dog moves, the long, heavy ears act as a kind of bellows, sweeping the ground and stirring up scent particles, which are then funneled directly toward the dog's highly sensitive nose, creating a personal, concentrated cloud of scent information. Beneath these varied and sometimes extreme exteriors lies a finely tuned biological engine that operates on a different rhythm from our own. The internal world of a dog runs hotter than that of a human. An average, healthy dog maintains a core body temperature of around 38.4 degrees Celsius, which is about 101.2 degrees Fahrenheit. This higher metabolic rate is the furnace that powers their energy and vitality. This internal furnace is regulated by a remarkably efficient cardiovascular system. A dog's heart, a powerful and responsive muscle, can beat up to 120 times per minute, depending on the dog's size, age, and level of excitement. To manage the heat generated by this high-octane metabolism, especially during exercise or in warm weather, a dog employs a rapid cooling system that is quite different from our own. By panting, a dog can draw air quickly over the moist surfaces of its tongue and respiratory tract, taking between 300 and 400 breaths per minute. This rapid, shallow breathing promotes evaporation, a highly effective method of dissipating excess body heat. This internal system also features a notable evolutionary divergence in its digestive tract. If you were to map the internal organs of a dog, you would find a significant absence compared to a human. Dogs do not have an appendix. This small, finger-shaped organ, a remnant of a distant, more herbivorous ancestor in humans, is entirely absent in the canine anatomy, a clear biological marker of their long and specialized history as carnivores, their digestive system streamlined for the efficient processing of meat and bone. From the almost impossibly small, we turn our attention to the giants of the canine world, breeds whose sheer size and presence are awe-inspiring. While the smallest dog could fit comfortably in a teacup, the tallest breeds can easily place their paws on a human's shoulders. This title of the tallest dog breed belongs unequivocally to the Great Dane. These gentle giants, despite their somewhat misleading name, they are of German, not Danish, origin, can reach a height of over 30 inches, or about 76 centimeters, at the shoulder, with some individuals standing significantly taller. The current record holder for the tallest dog ever was a Great Dane from Michigan named Zeus, who stood an incredible 44 inches, or 111.8 centimeters, tall at the shoulder. When he stood on his hind legs, he towered over most adult humans, a truly magnificent, if somewhat intimidating, sight. While the Great Dane claims the title for height, the distinction of being the heaviest dog breed goes to the Saint Bernard. Originating from the snowy, treacherous passes of the Swiss Alps, these massive dogs were bred for rescue work by the monks of the Great Saint Bernard Hospice. Their immense size and thick, insulating coats were essential for surviving the harsh alpine conditions. A fully grown male, Saint Bernard, can weigh upwards of 200 pounds, or 90 kilograms, with some exceptional individuals tipping the scales at over 260 pounds, or 118 kilograms. Their bulk was not for fighting, but for endurance, allowing them to traverse deep snow drifts and even lie on top of avalanche victims to provide life-saving warmth. Between the extremes of the tallest and the smallest lies the fastest. The greyhound, a breed of ancient lineage, is the undisputed sprinter of the dog world. Built like a perfect running machine, with a deep chest, a narrow waist, a flexible spine, and powerful hindquarters, the greyhound can reach astonishing speeds. Over a short distance, it can achieve a top speed of up to 45 miles per hour, or 72 kilometers per hour. This incredible velocity makes them the fastest dogs on the planet, and one of the fastest animals on land, second only to the cheetah over short sprints. Their entire anatomy is a study in aerodynamic efficiency, honed over centuries for the single purpose of outrunning the swiftest prey. The influence of dogs on human culture extends beyond the physical. They are woven into our history, our mythology, and even our calendar. The expression "dog days of summer" refers to the hottest, most sultry period of the year, typically in July and August in the Northern Hemisphere. This phrase has its roots in ancient astronomy, specifically with the Greeks and Romans. They associated this period of intense heat with the rising of Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky. Sirius is located in the constellation Canis Major, which means greater dog, and is therefore often called the dog star. The ancients believed that the combined heat of the sun and this brilliant dog star was responsible for the sweltering summer weather, a celestial partnership that has been immortalized in our language. This deep respect for dogs is a recurring theme in ancient history, often embodied in the relationships between great leaders and their faithful animals. Alexander the Great, the brilliant military strategist who carved out one of the largest empires of the ancient world, had a beloved canine companion named Peritas. The exact breed of Peritas is lost to history, but accounts describe a large, powerful dog of immense courage. Legend holds that Peritas fought alongside Alexander in his campaigns, saving his life on at least one occasion by attacking an elephant. So great was Alexander's love and admiration for this dog that when Peritas died, the conqueror of the known world mourned him deeply and, in a gesture of ultimate honor, named a city after him, Peritas, in what is now modern-day Punjab. The visual identity of many breeds is one of their most defining features, and few are as instantly recognizable as the Dalmatian. Their sleek white coat, adorned with striking black or liver-colored spots, is iconic. However, these famous spots are not present at birth. Dalmatian puppies are born pure white, their coats a blank canvas. The spots only begin to appear when the puppies are about 2 weeks old and continue to develop and multiply as they mature. The genetic mechanism behind this unique pattern is complex and is also linked to a higher incidence of congenital deafness in the breed. A reminder of the intricate and sometimes unexpected connections within an animal's genetic code. A dog's perception of the world is a topic of endless fascination, and for a long time, it was widely believed that they saw the world in shades of gray. We now know this is a myth. Dogs do see in color, but their color vision is different from that of humans. Human eyes have 3 types of color-detecting cells, or cones, which allow us to perceive the full spectrum of red, green, and blue. Dogs, on the other hand, have only 2 types of cones. This is known as dichromatic vision. It means their color world is composed primarily of blues, yellows, and grays. They are unable to distinguish between red and green, a situation similar to that of a red-green colorblind human. So, while a bright red ball on a green lawn might stand out vividly to us, to a dog, it appears as shades of yellow and gray, making it harder to spot. This understanding of their vision helps us better appreciate how they navigate their environment. While their color vision may be limited, their intelligence is anything but. Canine intelligence is a complex subject, with different breeds excelling in different areas, such as instinctive intelligence for herding or adaptive intelligence for problem-solving. However, when it comes to trainability and obedience, certain breeds consistently rank at the top. The Border Collie, renowned for its incredible work ethic and problem-solving skills, is often cited as the most intelligent breed. Following closely are the Poodle, with its surprising cleverness often hidden beneath its fancy haircut, and the Golden Retriever, whose eagerness to please and quick learning ability make it a family favorite. At the other end of the spectrum are breeds that are often considered less intelligent, though this label is perhaps unfair. Breeds like the Afghan hound and the Basenji are not unintelligent, but are famously independent, stubborn, and less motivated by a desire to please their human handlers. They were bred for tasks that required independent thought and action, often at a great distance from humans. Their unintelligence is more accurately a reflection of their independent nature, making them more challenging to train in a traditional obedience context. One breed whose intelligence is often underestimated due to its unique appearance is the poodle. That elaborate, often sculpted haircut, particularly the continental clip seen in dog shows, is not merely a fashion statement. It has practical, historical roots. The poodle was originally bred in Germany as a water retriever, used by hunters to fetch waterfowl from lakes and rivers. The dense, curly coat, while providing excellent insulation, would become heavy and waterlogged, impeding the dog's swimming ability. To solve this, hunters would shave the dog's legs, neck, and hindquarters to reduce drag and increase mobility in the water, while leaving protective pom-poms of hair over the joints and vital organs to keep them warm in the cold water. The modern show clip is an exaggerated, stylized version of this functional, working haircut from centuries ago. The poodle's working history also connects to another fundamental aspect of canine biology: their dentition. An adult dog possesses a formidable set of 42 teeth, 10 more than an adult human. This dental arsenal is a direct inheritance from their carnivorous ancestors. The large canine teeth at the front are for gripping and puncturing, the incisors for scraping meat from bone, and the powerful premolars and molars, particularly the carnassial pair, are designed to shear through flesh and crush bone. This powerful oral toolkit is a reminder that even the most pampered lapdog is, at its core, a predator, equipped by millions of years of evolution for a life of hunting and survival. The formidable dental hardware of a dog speaks to its wild ancestry, but its modern story is often one of extraordinary heroism and sacrifice. This legacy of bravery is perhaps best embodied by a Saint Bernard named Barry, who lived and worked at the Great Saint Bernard Hospice in the Swiss Alps during the early 19th century. Over his 12-year career as a mountain rescue dog, Barry is credited with saving the lives of more than 40 people who were lost or buried in the snow. His most famous rescue was that of a small child who was trapped on an icy ledge, seemingly beyond help. Barry reportedly managed to reach the child, warm him with his body, and lick his face to rouse him, staying with the boy until a rescue party could arrive. Barry's legend grew to such proportions that upon his death, his body was preserved and is still on display at the Natural History Museum in Bern, Switzerland, a permanent monument to the courage and dedication of his entire breed. This iconic image of the heroic dog has been a staple of popular culture for generations, and few canine characters are as globally recognized as Toto from the classic 1939 film The Wizard of Oz. The role of Dorothy's plucky companion was played by a female Cairn Terrier named Terry. Terry had a successful film career, appearing in 16 movies, but her role as Toto, for which she was paid $125 per week, more than many of the human actors in the film, cemented her place in cinematic history. Her intelligence and trainability were so remarkable that she did all of her own stunts, a testament to the incredible capabilities of a well-trained animal actor. Decades later, another canine performer would capture the public's imagination, this time in the world of advertising. In the late 1990s, a female Chihuahua named Gidget became the face of the fast food chain Taco Bell. Her catchphrase, "Yo quiero Taco Bell," delivered in a dubbed male voice, made her an overnight sensation. Gidget's expressive face and big personality turned a massive advertising campaign into a pop culture phenomenon, proving that even the smallest of dogs could have a giant impact. The presence of dogs in the public eye is not limited to the silver screen or television commercials. They have also held a special place in the private lives of world leaders. We know that many U.S. presidents were dog owners, but the specific breeds they chose often reflected their public personas. Theodore Roosevelt, the rugged, outdoorsy 26th president, was a true animal lover who filled the White House with a menagerie of pets. Among them was a pit bull terrier named Pete, at a time when the breed was seen as an all-American family dog, a symbol of courage and loyalty. Pete's presence in the Roosevelt household was entirely unremarkable, a far cry from the controversial reputation the breed would later acquire. The names we give our dogs can also reflect cultural trends and our personal affections. For many years, the most popular name for a male dog in English-speaking countries has been Max. This simple, strong, two-syllable name has a timeless appeal, conveying a sense of friendliness and reliability that perfectly suits man's best friend. Its enduring popularity shows a collective preference for classic, personable names for our canine family members. A dog's connection to the world is not just through its powerful nose or keen ears, but also through its whiskers. These special, thick hairs, technically known as vibrissae, are not like the other hairs on a dog's body. They are deeply embedded in the skin and are rich with nerves and blood vessels. These whiskers act as highly sensitive tactile sensors, almost like tiny radar detectors. They can detect even the slightest changes in air currents, helping a dog navigate in the dark, sense the presence of nearby objects without touching them, and even protect its eyes from potential harm. This subtle sensory input adds another layer of detail to a dog's perception of its immediate environment. While a dog's whiskers are a tool for sensing, its tongue is a tool for taste, thermoregulation, and in some cases, a unique breed identifier. As we've seen, most dogs have pink tongues, but two breeds are famous for their distinctive black tongues, the Chow Chow and the Chinese Shar-Pei. The exact evolutionary reason for this trait is unknown, but it is a dominant genetic feature in both breeds. The presence of a black tongue is a reliable indicator of a purebred dog in these specific cases, a curious and visually striking quirk of genetics that has become a hallmark of their identity. The sheer variety of dog breeds is astounding, with kennel clubs around the world recognizing hundreds of distinct types. The American Kennel Club, for instance, currently recognizes over 150 different breeds. These breeds are typically organized into groups based on their ancestral purpose or function, such as the hound group, bred for hunting by scent or sight, the terrier group for hunting vermin, the working group for tasks like guarding and pulling sleds, and the herding group for controlling livestock. These 8 distinct classes provide a framework for understanding the incredible diversity that human beings have cultivated within a single species. This passion for purebred dogs has a downside, however. A surprisingly large number of dogs that end up in animal shelters are not mixed-breed strays, but purebred animals. It is estimated that approximately 1/3 of all dogs surrendered to shelters are purebreds. Owners often acquire these dogs without fully understanding the specific needs and temperament of the breed, leading to situations where they can no longer care for them. This statistic highlights the importance of responsible breeding and thorough research before bringing any dog, purebred or not, into a home. The dog's place in human culture is not just as a pet or a worker, but also as a figure in our creation, myths, and folklore. The Mbaya people, an indigenous group from the Gran Chaco region of South America, have a fascinating origin story in which dogs play a central role. They believe that humanity originally lived underground, in a world without light. It was the dogs who, through their persistent digging, eventually broke through to the surface of the earth, leading the first humans out into the sunshine. In this tradition, dogs are not just companions, but saviors, the very beings who delivered humanity into the world we know today. This view of the dog as a creature of profound wisdom and insight was echoed by one of history's greatest thinkers. The Greek philosopher Plato, who spent his life contemplating the nature of reality, virtue, and the soul, once made a simple yet profound observation. He declared that a dog has the soul of a philosopher. Plato saw in dogs a natural curiosity, an uncomplicated loyalty, and an ability to discern friend from foe with an almost innate sense of justice. He admired their capacity for learning and their unfiltered emotional honesty, qualities that he believed were essential to the philosophical life. It was a remarkable tribute, suggesting that the path to wisdom might be found by observing the simple, profound truths embodied by our canine companions. The philosophical soul of the dog, as Plato envisioned it, has found its way into the most unexpected corners of our culture, sometimes in forms far removed from the high-minded ideals of ancient Greece. This domestication of the dog's image can be seen in the cheerful branding of our everyday products. Consider the iconic American snack, Cracker Jack, a delightful concoction of caramel-coated popcorn and peanuts. For over a century, the box has featured the images of two characters, a young boy in a sailor suit and his loyal dog. The boy is Sailor Jack, and his spirited canine companion is named Bingo. This small, illustrated dog, a stray adopted by the founder's grandson, became an enduring symbol of youthful adventure and companionship. His image printed on millions of boxes, forever associating the joy of a sweet treat with the loyalty of a pet. This commercial ideal, however, often belies the fierce and specific purposes for which many breeds were originally developed. A striking example of this is the dachshund, with its long body, short legs, and cheerful demeanor. Its unique physique is not an accident of aesthetics. It is the highly specialized anatomy of a subterranean hunter. The name Dachshund is German for badger dog, and this was its precise, formidable function. Badgers are notoriously powerful and ferocious animals, known for their thick hides, sharp claws, and tenacious fighting spirit when cornered in their complex underground burrows, known as setts. The dachshund was bred to do what few other dogs could: pursue the badger into the darkness of its own den. Its short legs allowed it to navigate narrow tunnels. Its long body gave it flexibility, and its surprisingly deep bark allowed its human counterparts above ground to track its location. Far from being just a charmingly shaped lapdog, the dachshund is a courageous and determined earth dog, a living embodiment of form following a very dangerous function. Understanding a dog's ancestral purpose is crucial to understanding its behavior, and by extension, to avoiding the subtle but significant miscommunications that can occur between our two species. Humans are a primate species. Our primary mode of communication is facial, and for us, a smile is the universal signal of happiness, friendliness, and welcome. It involves pulling back the lips to expose the teeth. For a dog, however, an animal whose communication is rooted in the body language of the pack, the act of baring the teeth is a fundamental warning sign. It is a signal of aggression, a threat display, a clear message to back off. When a well-meaning human smiles broadly at an unfamiliar or nervous dog, the dog may not see a friend. It may see a challenge. This fundamental misunderstanding can create tension and fear, and it highlights the importance of learning to read a dog's true signals: the soft eyes, the gentle tail wag, the relaxed posture, rather than projecting our own human interpretations onto their actions. This deep, nuanced communication reaches its zenith in the working relationship between a handler and a highly trained dog, a bond forged in discipline and trust, and tested in the most extreme circumstances imaginable. On the morning of September 11th, 2001, in the immediate aftermath of the attacks on the World Trade Center in New York City, a scene of utter devastation unfolded. The Twin Towers had collapsed into a mountain of twisted steel, pulverized concrete, and toxic dust. Into this apocalyptic landscape, alongside human firefighters and rescue workers, went some of the most highly trained search and rescue dogs in the world. Within hours of the collapse, teams from across the country began to arrive. These dogs, breeds like German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois, and Labrador Retrievers, faced a challenge for which no training could fully prepare them. The immense heat from fires burning deep within the rubble was a constant danger. The sharp metal and broken glass a threat to their paws, and the overwhelming scent of jet fuel, dust, and death, a constant assault on their sensitive noses. Yet, for weeks, these dogs and their handlers worked tirelessly, climbing over unstable debris piles, crawling into dark, precarious voids, searching for any sign of life. They worked until their paws were cut and their bodies were exhausted, driven by their training and their bond with their handlers. They found few survivors, but they located the remains of many victims, providing a measure of closure for grieving families and becoming a powerful symbol of hope and resilience in the nation's darkest hour. The dedication of these canine heroes comes at a significant cost, not just in emotional toll, but in financial investment. To train a single dog to the level of a federally certified search and rescue canine requires an immense amount of time and resources. The cost can easily exceed $10,000. This investment covers thousands of hours of specialized training that begins when they are puppies. They learn to distinguish human scent from all other distractions, to navigate treacherous and unstable terrain with confidence, and to signal a find with a clear, focused bark. They are trained for endurance, obedience under extreme stress, and the unwavering focus required to ignore the chaos of a disaster zone. This rigorous preparation transforms a dog with natural talent into a reliable, life-saving tool. An investment that pays its dividends not in money, but in human lives. The idea of the canine hero was not born in the rubble of Ground Zero. It was crafted decades earlier in the flickering black and white light of early Hollywood. The first true canine movie star was a German shepherd named Rin Tin Tin. His story is the stuff of legend. He was discovered as a tiny, near-starving puppy in a bombed-out dog kennel in France during the First World War by an American soldier named Lee Duncan. Duncan brought the puppy back to the United States and trained him. Rin Tin Tin's intelligence and athletic ability were so extraordinary that he quickly found work in the burgeoning film industry of the 1920s. He became a massive box office draw, starring in dozens of films and single-handedly saving the Warner Brothers studio from bankruptcy. He was a global superstar, a symbol of courage and loyalty to millions of fans, creating the heroic dog archetype that still dominates our fiction today. Whether a hero on the screen or a hero in real life, the mere presence of a dog has a profound and measurable effect on our well-being. It has been medically documented that the simple act of petting a dog can have a direct, positive impact on human health. The rhythmic motion and tactile sensation can significantly lower a person's blood pressure. This calming effect is believed to be linked to a reduction in the stress hormone cortisol, alongside the release of oxytocin we have previously explored. It is a quiet, everyday form of heroism, a therapeutic partnership that requires no special training or dramatic circumstances, just the silent, comforting presence of a loyal companion. This powerful, health-altering bond is not a modern phenomenon. It is an ancient pact, a relationship that has been evolving for thousands of years, anchoring our two species together in a story of mutual aid and affection. The therapeutic blood pressure lowering bond we share with dogs is the modern expression of a partnership that is almost unimaginably ancient. Archaeological and genetic evidence suggests that the relationship between humans and dogs dates back over 14,000 years, deep into the icy twilight of the last ice age. While the precise timeline is still a subject of scientific debate, with some studies suggesting a much earlier origin, it is clear that this was the first and perhaps most significant domestication event in human history. It began not as a conquest, but as a tentative alliance. Wolves, the ancestors of all modern dogs, likely began to scavenge at the edges of human encampments, drawn by the refuse of the hunt. Over generations, the boldest and least aggressive of these wolves were likely tolerated, and eventually, a symbiotic relationship formed. These proto-dogs would have served as an early warning system, alerting their human companions to the presence of predators or strangers, while the humans provided a reliable source of food and protection. This partnership was a profound evolutionary advantage for both species. For humans, the dog's superior senses of smell and hearing made them more effective hunters and safer in their camps. For the dogs, association with humans provided a stable food supply and a greater chance of survival. This alliance, forged in the harsh reality of the Paleolithic world, laid the foundation for one of the most enduring interspecies relationships on the planet. Out of this ancient pact, a staggering diversity of breeds has emerged, each shaped by human needs and preferences. Yet, amidst this variety, one breed has, as we have noted, achieved a level of global popularity that is truly remarkable. The Labrador Retriever's status as the most beloved dog in Canada, the United States, and Great Britain is not an accident of fashion. It is a testament to the breed's extraordinary adaptability and temperament. Originally bred in Newfoundland, not Labrador, as a fisherman's helper, they were tasked with retrieving nets, ropes, and fish from the icy waters of the North Atlantic. This heritage gave them their characteristic water-resistant double coat, their strong swimming ability, and their famously gentle, soft mouth, which allowed them to carry retrieved waterfowl without damaging them. More importantly, it instilled in them a deep-seated desire to work in partnership with humans, a trait that has made them the quintessential family companion and a versatile working dog in countless modern roles. The lifespan of these companions is a precious, finite resource, a fact that makes the outliers all the more fascinating. We've celebrated the incredible story of Bluey, the Australian cattle dog, who lived for over 29 years. His record, which stood for nearly a century, serves as a benchmark for canine longevity. To put his age in perspective, the average lifespan for a dog is typically between 10 and 13 years. Bluey lived more than twice as long as expected, a feat comparable to a human living to be well over 150 years old. His story is a powerful reminder of the potential for vitality that exists within their genes, a potential that is influenced by a complex interplay of diet, exercise, genetics, and veterinary care. But dogs are not just beneficiaries of our care. They are active participants in our health, sometimes in ways that border on the miraculous. In recent years, a growing body of scientific evidence has confirmed that dogs can be trained to detect cancerous cells in the human body. Their extraordinary olfactory abilities allow them to identify the specific volatile organic compounds that are released by malignant tumors. These scent signatures are so subtle that they are undetectable by our most advanced medical equipment, yet a trained medical detection dog can pick them up in samples of a person's breath, urine, or skin. They have shown remarkable accuracy in detecting various forms of cancer, including lung, breast, ovarian, and prostate cancer, often at a much earlier stage than traditional diagnostic methods. This incredible ability is opening up new frontiers in medical research, harnessing the ancient power of a dog's nose to fight a modern plague. The instrument of this life-saving ability, the dog's nose, is a marvel of biological engineering, and its perpetually moist surface is a key to its function. The wetness is not just a sign of a healthy dog. It is a crucial part of the olfactory process. The thin layer of mucus on the nose serves to capture and dissolve scent molecules from the air. This process makes the molecules more accessible to the millions of olfactory receptors inside the nasal cavity. In essence, a dog's wet nose acts like a piece of scent flypaper, trapping and concentrating odors to create a more vivid and detailed scent picture of the world. Furthermore, when a dog licks its nose, it is transferring some of these captured scent particles to the vomeronasal organ in the roof of its mouth, allowing for an even deeper level of chemical analysis. This seemingly simple physiological trait is, in fact, a sophisticated scent-enhancing mechanism. The information gathered by the nose is often communicated to other dogs through a complex system of scent marking, a form of chemical conversation that is particularly evident in male dogs. The classic behavior of a male dog raising its leg to urinate is not just about relieving its bladder. It is about sending a message. By directing their urine onto vertical surfaces like trees, fire hydrants, or fence posts, they are placing their scent marker at nose level for other dogs. The height of the mark is a significant part of the message. A higher mark can create the illusion of a larger, more formidable dog, a form of olfactory posturing intended to signal dominance and status to any other dogs that might pass by. It is a social calling card, a declaration of "I was here," left for the entire neighborhood to read. The complexity of a dog's social and cognitive world is a field of active research, and the findings consistently reveal a level of intelligence that is both impressive and, in some ways, endearingly familiar. The intelligence of an average dog is often compared to that of a 2- or 3-year-old human child. This comparison is based on their ability to understand a significant number of words. Some exceptionally intelligent breeds, like the Border Collie, have demonstrated vocabularies of over 1,000 words, and their capacity to grasp basic concepts of object permanence, problem solving, and even simple arithmetic. Like a toddler, they are highly social, capable of learning from observation, and adept at manipulating their human companions to get what they want. This cognitive parallel helps to explain the almost parental affection many owners feel for their dogs. In many ways, we are responding to a mind that operates on a similar emotional and intellectual wavelength as a very young child. The immense value we place on this companionship is sometimes reflected in the most extravagant of ways. Perhaps the most famous example of this is the story of Gunther III, an Alsatian dog who belonged to a German countess named Carlotta Liebenstein. When the countess died in 1992, she left her entire fortune, estimated to be around $106 million, to her beloved dog. The inheritance was placed in a trust, managed by human caretakers, which has since grown through savvy investments to be worth several $100 million today. The trust has provided a life of unbelievable luxury for a succession of dogs, all descended from the original Gunther. While this story is an extreme, almost absurd example of canine wealth, it serves as a powerful, if eccentric, illustration of the profound love and devotion that a human can feel for their dog, a love that, in this case, transcended even death itself. While the story of Gunther and his inherited fortune represents an extreme of canine privilege, The reality for many purebred dogs can be far more complex, with genetic legacies that carry both beauty and burden. The Dalmatian, with its iconic spotted coat, is a perfect example of this double-edged sword. The very genetic trait that produces their striking appearance is closely linked to a predisposition for congenital deafness. It is estimated that as many as 30% of all Dalmatians suffer from hearing loss in one or both ears. This connection between the piebald gene, which is responsible for the white coat and distinct spots, and deafness is a well-documented phenomenon in many animal species. For the Dalmatian, it means that a significant portion of the breed's population navigates the world in silence, a reminder that the aesthetic qualities we prize in our dogs can sometimes come with unintended and life-altering consequences. The emotional depth of our relationship with these animals becomes most apparent not in times of joy, but in moments of profound loss. The grief experienced after the death of a pet dog is a powerful and often misunderstood emotion. For many owners, the loss of a dog is a devastating event, and the sorrow can be just as intense and debilitating as the grief felt after the death of a human family member or friend. This is because a dog is not just a pet. It is a source of unconditional love, a constant companion, a silent confidant, and an integral part of the daily rhythm of life. The void left by their absence is immense, and the grieving process can be a lonely one, as society does not always afford the same rituals of mourning or understanding for the loss of an animal. Yet, the pain is real and serves as the ultimate testament to the depth of the bond we form with them. While most human-dog interactions are overwhelmingly positive, it is an unfortunate reality that dog bites do occur. In the United States alone, there are nearly 5 million dog bites reported each year. A significant and troubling aspect of this statistic is that the most common victims are children. This is often not a result of canine aggression, but of miscommunication and a lack of understanding. Children, with their unpredictable movements, high-pitched voices, and tendency to treat an animal like a toy, can easily frighten or overwhelm a dog. They may not recognize the subtle warning signs a dog gives when it is feeling anxious or threatened. The lip licking, the yawning, the whale eye showing the whites of its eyes. When these signals are ignored, a dog may feel it has no other option but to bite to protect itself. This highlights the critical importance of educating both children and adults on how to interact safely and respectfully with dogs, for the well-being of all involved. The immense diversity of dog breeds means that they have been bred for an incredible variety of purposes, some of them quite unusual. The Pekingese, a small, flat-faced dog with an impressive mane of hair, is a breed of ancient Chinese royalty. They were bred to be the exclusive companions of the emperors in the forbidden city of Peking, now Beijing. Their status was so revered that they were not considered mere pets, but semi-divine beings. They were also bred for a very specific and peculiar function: to be small enough to fit inside the voluminous sleeves of a Chinese empress's robe. These sleeve dogs served as portable companions, hidden sources of warmth, and, if necessary, tiny, last resort guardians who could burst forth with a surprising flurry of barks and nips if their mistress was threatened. The life of a young puppy is one of dramatic and rapid development, and a huge part of that development is sleep. It is not uncommon for a newborn puppy to sleep for 18 to 20 hours a day. This extensive sleep is not a sign of laziness. It is a critical period of intense growth and neurological development. During sleep, a puppy's brain is busy processing the new experiences of the day, forming neural pathways and consolidating memories. Their bodies are also working overtime, building bone, muscle, and a robust immune system. This is why their sleep is so active, often filled with twitches, whimpers, and tiny running motions, as they are essentially rehearsing behaviors in their dreams. Just as with human infants, this period of intense sleep is a vital foundation for a healthy and well-adjusted adult life. As they mature, their emotional lives become more complex, and they develop the capacity for a range of feelings that are remarkably similar to our own. One of the most surprising and well-documented of these is jealousy. Dogs can and do feel jealousy, particularly when their human owners show affection to other people or animals. This emotion is thought to be rooted in the pack dynamics of their wolf ancestors, where access to resources and social standing within the group were critical for survival. When a dog sees its owner petting another dog, it may interpret this as a threat to its social bond, a potential loss of affection and resources. This can manifest in behaviors like pushing in, whining, or becoming agitated. This capacity for jealousy is another piece of evidence for the complexity of their inner lives, a sign that they are not just creatures of simple instinct, but of nuanced emotion. Some breeds are so perfectly adapted to their ancestral environments that they seem to possess superpowers. The Newfoundland, a massive, gentle giant of a dog, is a prime example of a breed built for the water. Originating from the island of Newfoundland, where they worked with fishermen, they are natural swimmers, equipped with a thick, water-resistant double coat that insulates them from the cold, and a muscular rudder-like tail that aids in propulsion. Most remarkably, they have fully webbed feet, a feature that makes their paws act like powerful flippers, allowing them to swim with incredible efficiency and endurance. Their innate rescue instincts are so strong that they are often used as water rescue dogs today. Their gentle nature and powerful build making them perfectly suited to helping swimmers in distress. The ingenuity of dogs is not limited to those in working roles. It can also be seen in the incredible adaptability of stray animals. In the sprawling, complex metropolis of Moscow, some stray dogs have developed an astonishing and sophisticated survival strategy. They have learned how to use the city's subway system. These clever canines have been observed commuting on the trains, seemingly navigating the complex network of lines and stations with purpose. They ride the trains into the city center in the morning, where food is more plentiful from commuters and restaurants, and then travel back to the quieter suburbs in the evening to sleep. They appear to have learned to judge the length of time to stay on the train by listening to the station announcements and recognizing the scents of specific stops. This remarkable behavior is a testament to their incredible problem-solving skills and their ability to adapt to even the most challenging urban environments. The history of dogs is filled with tales of survival against incredible odds, and few events are as dramatic as the sinking of the Titanic in 1912. Amidst the human tragedy, there is a lesser-known story of the dogs on board. There were at least 12 dogs accompanying their wealthy owners on the ill-fated voyage. Of these 12, only 3 survived. They were all small dogs, 2 Pomeranians and a Pekingese, who were likely smuggled onto the lifeboats, hidden in the coats or blankets of their female owners. The survival of these few, while the larger dogs were left behind, is a poignant and heartbreaking footnote in the larger disaster. A small story of love and loss that highlights the deep connection between people and their pets, a bond that persists even in the face of unimaginable catastrophe. The deep-seated connection between people and their dogs, so poignantly illustrated by the survivors of the Titanic, is a bond that is actively fostered and celebrated in many aspects of modern life. In the United States, 2 of the nation's most iconic youth organizations, the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts of America, formally recognize the importance of this relationship. Both organizations offer merit badges for dog care. To earn these badges, a scout must demonstrate a comprehensive understanding of canine well-being, including knowledge of proper nutrition, grooming, exercise, and basic veterinary first aid. They must also show proficiency in training a dog in basic obedience, a process that teaches not just the dog, but the scout, the importance of patience, consistency, and clear communication. These badges do more than just impart practical skills. They instill a sense of responsibility and respect for animals, nurturing the next generation of compassionate and knowledgeable dog owners, and strengthening the human-animal bond from a young age. This modern, educational approach to a dog's well-being stands in stark contrast to some of the more brutal historical practices, many of which were rooted in fear and superstition. The spiked dog collar, which today is often seen as a purely aesthetic choice, a fashion accessory with a tough or intimidating look, has a much more practical and violent origin. These collars were first developed in ancient Greece and their purpose was brutally simple: to protect livestock guardian dogs from wolf attacks. A wolf, being a natural predator, will often attack its prey at the throat. The sharp, iron spikes on the collar were designed to thwart this instinctive attack, protecting the dog's vulnerable neck and giving it a fighting chance against a formidable opponent. It was not an accessory, but a piece of armor, a vital tool in the constant, bloody struggle between the shepherd's flock and the wild predators of the ancient world. As human societies evolved, so too did the physical forms of their dogs, often bred to extremes to satisfy a particular whim or purpose. The Chihuahua, the smallest of all dog breeds, is a perfect example of breeding for miniaturization. This process has resulted in a dog with a unique physiological trait that it shares with human babies. It is born with a molera, a soft spot on the top of its skull. This gap in the skull bones, which in human infants allows the head to safely pass through the birth canal, can persist for a dog's entire life. While the molera is considered a normal characteristic of the breed, it also leaves the dog's brain more vulnerable to injury, a delicate trade-off made in the pursuit of a specific physical form. The health of our dogs is a primary concern for modern owners, and one of the most significant health challenges they face is a direct result of our own lifestyles and affections. The most common health problem in dogs in developed countries is not a disease or an injury, but obesity. An excess of treats, oversized meal portions, and a lack of sufficient exercise have led to an epidemic of overweight pets. Just as in humans, canine obesity can lead to a host of serious secondary health issues, including diabetes, heart disease, respiratory problems, and painful arthritis in the joints. It is a modern irony that our very love for our dogs, expressed through the giving of food, can inadvertently lead to a shorter and less healthy life for our companions. A dog's body is a marvel of expressive anatomy, and nowhere is this more evident than in its ears. A dog's ears are not just for hearing. They are a critical component of its communication system. To control these expressive appendages, a dog has more than twice as many muscles for moving its ears as a human does. While humans have a paltry set of 6 muscles to control their mostly immobile outer ears, a dog has over 18. This complex musculature allows them to pivot, tilt, raise and lower their ears with incredible precision, not only to pinpoint the source of a sound, as we have seen, but also to signal their emotional state to other dogs and to their human companions. A dog's ears can signal curiosity, fear, aggression, or submission, forming a crucial part of the rich, non-verbal language of the canine world. The names of our breeds often tell a story, linking them to their place of origin. The Chihuahua, as one might expect, is named after the state of Chihuahua in northwestern Mexico, where the breed was first discovered by American tourists in the late 19th century. Archaeological evidence and folklore suggest that the breed's ancestors, a small dog known as the Tequichi, were an important part of Toltec and Aztec civilizations centuries earlier. The name, therefore, anchors this tiny dog to a deep and specific cultural and geographical heritage, a living link to the pre-Columbian world. The intelligence of dogs has been a subject of fascination for humans for as long as our two species have lived together. Throughout history, there have been various attempts to understand and even expand their cognitive abilities. One of the most bizarre and ultimately fruitless of these endeavors was undertaken by the Nazis in Germany during the Second World War. In a secret program, they established a special dog school, or Hundesprechschule, with the goal of teaching dogs to talk, read, and spell. The Nazis, particularly Adolf Hitler, were great dog lovers and believed that the intelligence of dogs was so profound that they could be taught to communicate with humans on a cognitive level. They recruited and educated dogs from all over Germany, claiming that some of them could tap out words with their paws or even imitate the human voice. The program, born of a strange mix of genuine affection for dogs and ideological fanaticism, was a complete failure, a surreal and forgotten footnote in history that nonetheless speaks to the powerful, if sometimes misguided, human desire to bridge the communication gap between our two species. While the Nazis failed to turn dogs into soldiers of the mind, the use of dogs in actual warfare has a long and successful history. During the First World War, dogs were used extensively by all sides as vital messengers. In the brutal, static environment of trench warfare, traditional communication lines, like telephone wires, were constantly being cut by artillery fire. In this chaotic landscape, dogs became a reliable, low-tech solution. They were trained to navigate the treacherous, cratered terrain of no man's land, carrying vital messages in capsules attached to their collars. These dog messengers were fast, agile, and a much smaller target than a human runner. They braved machine gun fire and artillery barrages to deliver their messages, and their service saved countless lives by keeping the lines of communication open. The relationship between humans and dogs is culturally specific, and practices that are considered normal in one part of the world can be viewed as abhorrent in another. The consumption of dog meat is a stark example of this cultural divide. While the idea is deeply taboo in most Western countries, it is still legal, and in some areas, a culinary tradition in parts of the world, including China, Vietnam, and, surprisingly to many, Switzerland. In rural areas of the Appenzell and St. Gallen cantons of Switzerland, the consumption of dog and cat meat has a long, albeit niche, history. While it is not a widespread practice, its continued legality highlights the vast differences in cultural attitudes toward the role of dogs in society. Whether they are viewed strictly as companions or also as potential livestock. One of the most remarkable aspects of canine intelligence is their apparent innate ability to understand a uniquely human gesture: pointing. While our closest primate relatives, like chimpanzees, often struggle to follow a pointing finger, dogs seem to grasp the concept with little or no training. When a human points at an object, a dog will typically look at the object, not at the person's hand. This suggests a sophisticated cognitive ability known as theory of mind, the capacity to understand that the pointer is trying to communicate something about the object, to direct their attention to it. This seemingly simple act is a profound example of the deep level of interspecies communication and cognitive alignment that has developed over millennia of co-evolution, a silent, shared understanding that forms the very foundation of our unique bond. Within the vast and diverse tapestry of dog breeds, some are so exceptionally rare that the chances of ever seeing one are incredibly slim. The title of the rarest dog breed in the world is often bestowed upon the Český terrier. This small, charming terrier originated in what is now the Czech Republic in the mid-20th century, making it a relatively new breed. It was developed by a single breeder, František Horák, who sought to create a terrier that was adept at hunting in the dense forests of Bohemia, but also possessed a calmer, more trainable temperament than the typical feisty terrier. The breed's population has always been small, and at times, it has teetered on the brink of extinction. Today, while it has dedicated fanciers around the globe, there are still only a few hundred Český terriers in existence. Their scarcity makes them a precious and carefully guarded part of the world's canine heritage, a living legacy of one man's specific vision for the perfect working companion. From the exceptionally rare, we turn to a name that is exceptionally common, a name that has become almost synonymous with the idea of a loyal dog: Fido. The popularity of this name can be traced back to one specific historical dog owned by Abraham Lincoln before he became the 16th President of the United States. Lincoln's beloved mixed-breed dog was named Fido, and he was a well-known and much-loved resident of Springfield, Illinois. When Lincoln was elected president, he made the difficult decision to leave Fido behind with friends, believing that the long journey and the noisy, chaotic environment of Washington, D.C. would be too stressful for the dog. The name Fido itself is derived from the Latin word fidelitas, meaning fidelity or faithfulness. Lincoln's dog and the widespread stories of his loyalty helped to popularize the name, forever cementing it in the public consciousness as the perfect moniker for a faithful canine friend. Just as names can tell a story, a dog's blood can reveal a hidden world of biological complexity. While humans have a relatively simple blood type system with 4 main types, dogs have a far more complex hematology. There are at least 13 different canine blood types, or dog erythrocyte antigens, DEAs. This complexity makes blood transfusions in dogs a more challenging procedure than in humans. Careful cross-matching is required to prevent a potentially fatal immune reaction. This intricate system of blood types is another reminder of the deep biological differences that exist beneath the surface of our familiar companions, a hidden world of cellular codes that is vital to their health and survival. The value we place on our dogs is not just emotional. Sometimes it is staggeringly financial. The record for the most expensive dog ever sold belongs to a red Tibetan Mastiff named Big Splash. In 2011, this magnificent lion-maned dog was purchased by a coal baron in China for a staggering 10 million yuan, which at the time was the equivalent of 1.5 million US dollars. In China, Tibetan Mastiffs are a powerful status symbol, believed to be a pure Chinese breed and a sign of immense wealth and prosperity. Their commanding presence and ancient lineage make them highly prized, and this record-breaking sale represents the absolute pinnacle of the dog's role as a luxury commodity, an object of immense monetary as well as sentimental value. Our modern relationship with dogs is a far cry from the utilitarian practices of the past, many of which seem cruel by today's standards. The practice of tail docking, the surgical removal of a portion of a dog's tail, is now banned or restricted in many countries as a cosmetic procedure. However, its origins are rooted in ancient beliefs and practicalities. The ancient Romans were among the first to systematically dock the tails of their dogs. They believed that by cutting off the tip of the tail, they could prevent the dog from contracting rabies, a disease they erroneously thought was transmitted by a worm that grew in the dog's tail. While their science was completely wrong, the practice persisted for centuries for other reasons, such as preventing tail injuries in working dogs or for purely aesthetic breed standards. This history is a stark reminder of how our understanding of canine biology and welfare has evolved over time. The lives of dogs and their owners are often intertwined in the most public of ways, and we have seen how the White House has been a home to many first dogs. One of the most famous and, at times, infamous of these presidential pets were the two beagles owned by President Lyndon B. Johnson. Their names were him and her. Johnson was famously and often controversially demonstrative with his dogs, and a photograph of him lifting one of the beagles up by its ears caused a national outcry among animal lovers. Despite this, his genuine affection for them was clear, and they became celebrities in their own right, frequently photographed with the president and even appearing on the cover of Life magazine. They were a constant, grounding presence for a president navigating one of the most tumultuous periods in American history. The legal status of dogs and the protections they are afforded vary dramatically from place to place, and sometimes the laws can create surprising and poignant ironies. In the state of South Carolina, for instance, a legal quirk exists where the penalty for beating a dog can be more severe than the penalty for beating a spouse. A person convicted of felony animal cruelty can face a sentence of up to 5 years in prison, while the maximum penalty for a first offense domestic violence charge is significantly less. While this is more of a reflection on the complexities and shortcomings of the legal system than a deliberate valuation of dogs over humans, it nonetheless creates a situation that many find to be a powerful, if unsettling, statement about the value and protection of the innocent. Finally, the bond between humans and dogs has even found its way into the world of music, in a way that is audible only to the dogs themselves. On the iconic 1967 Beatles album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the final track, A Day in the Life, ends with a chaotic orchestral crescendo followed by a few seconds of studio chatter. Immediately after this, there is a very high-pitched whistle, recorded at a frequency of 15 kilohertz. This sound is beyond the range of most adult human hearing, but is perfectly audible to dogs. Paul McCartney has confirmed that this whistle was deliberately included for the benefit of his own dog, a Shetland sheepdog named Martha, and for any other dogs that might be listening. It is a playful, hidden Easter egg, a secret message from one of the world's greatest bands to their canine fans, a final, whimsical testament to the deep, personal, and often unspoken connection we share with these remarkable animals, a bond that resonates even in the silence between the notes of our lives. And so, our journey through the long and winding story of the dog comes to a gentle close. From the ancient forests of their ancestors to the quiet corners of our modern homes, we have seen them as heroes, helpers, and devoted friends. But beyond all the history and all the science, the story of the dog ends, as it always does, in a quiet and simple truth. It is the truth of a steady, rhythmic breath in the stillness of the night, the warmth of a loyal body resting nearby, the silent promise that you are not alone. The 100 facts have faded, and all that remains is this simple, peaceful feeling. Let it anchor you now as you drift deeper and deeper into your own peaceful rest. There are no more stories to tell tonight, only the deep, quiet comfort of a bond that needs no words. Sleep now. Sleep well.